everyone for coming. I've lost track. Is this our fifth, fourth? Oh, doesn't matter. It keeps growing. So welcome everybody to Uncorked. My name's Lisa Peterson. I'm from Access 7 TV, host of Talk of the Town. And I've been waiting for this day. I hope everyone else is. Who is wearing their Hillberg Berk? Uh-huh. This is, Rachel, the first piece I've ever purchased from you. And I think the earrings were right in the beginning. I'm honored. Now I have a whole dresser for you. So Rachel is the founder and CEO of Hillberg Berk and is passionate about creating beautiful jewelry and empowering women in the process. Her Regina-based luxury jewelry company's success story is more than just making money. It's focused on helping make a difference in the world, one sparkle at a time. Through determination, hard work, and business savvy, the Saskatchewan-born entrepreneur was able to take a few beads and a dream and transform them from one-woman, kitchen table-based operation into a multi-million-dollar company. Her company now has retail locations in Saskatchewan, Alberta, and wholesale stores across Canada, and an online store serving customers globally. A successful pitch on CBC's Dragon Den helped Rachel grow her business. Her company has been commissioned to design custom jewelry for the Queen, not only once, but twice. They have made our Canadian Olympic athletes sparkle, and the brand has also been showcased at the Oscars. She continues to lead with her heart and inspire by example. Rachel has been honored to have received many awards, including the 2018 Canada's Most Powerful Woman Top 100 Award winner, as well as breaking the Top 100 in Canada's fastest growing companies. Please welcome Rachel Mielke. How was that? All right. So we're going to kick this off, Rachel, with what was that moment you knew you understood your big why in life, and did it come early?
Okay, so that's a big question. And I think that I still every day kind of ask the question why. We have a really strong purpose at Hillberg Berk. It is about empowering women, and it's something I'm really passionate about. But I think as businesses evolve, your purpose also evolves. And I think that that's a question that we ask ourselves definitely every year at our planning session is, how do we evolve that why? How is it relevant to me, to our organization, to the work that we do today? But there have been moments over the course of developing Hillberg Berk that, I mean, we all have our stories, and that's led us to where each of us is today. And those stories are the powerful catalysts for making us passionate about something that we each want to do. And there have been moments where I realized that, you know, my life story and things that I've been through in my life have led me to where I am today, and I need to grasp that, and I need to embrace that and have that be what drives me at Hillberg Berk. So there's certainly, and I think through the questions that we'll get into, I think we'll get into some of those moments in my life where it's made me realize that this is my why, but I really think that it keeps evolving, and I think that that's the cool thing about running a business, about, you know, the time that we live in right now as women, about so much emphasis on personal and professional development on ourselves, and kind of, you know, putting ourselves first and loving ourselves first. It's an exciting time for women right now.
Nice, all right. So what is your current role at Hillberg Berk? More like your day-to-day?
Yeah, so over the years, I have worn many different hats in the company. In fact, probably every hat at some point. Currently, my role is president and CEO, as well as I'm the head of design, marketing, and sales. So day to day, I spend a lot of time with the executive team on strategy, but also a lot of time in the marketing department with our design team, talking about product planning, thinking about our customer, about what our customer wants, about the evolution of our customer, about the evolution of retail and selling to customers. And that's also something that I'm really passionate about.
So this makes me, I just want to ask you, I mean, you go back how many years ago? You were it. You were the lead designer. You were it. How did you let go? And those moments going, okay, I need to let go and this person needs to take over. How did you feel?
So before I started this company, I worked for Wesk for 5 years, and I had the incredible opportunity of going to pretty much every training session they ever put on, every speaker they brought in. I had the opportunity to go to them all. So if you're here tonight because you are starting a business or thinking about getting into business, go to everything that WESC puts on, because there's so many nuggets that you can pull away from it. So I already knew that I needed to do a few crucial things if I wanted to start and successfully scale Hillberg Berk. And one of the things was that I was going to have to figure out what I was good at and realize what maybe I wasn't as good at, and ensure that I hired those people to, complement those skills. So the very first person that I hired, and it was a little bit by accident, she came to me just really out of the blue, was a master jeweler. And that first hire was the most incredible catalyst right off the bat to start allowing me to scale the company, because then I could go out and sell to my heart's content. The part that I didn't like was I loved selling, I loved designing, but I hated then having to go back and reproduce 50 of one item. So having, Debbie come and join the team, it allowed me to go out and sell to my heart's content, and then Debbie could help me with the production of actually making the jewelry. And so I knew that I needed to do that, but actually doing that and having her by my side when I first started the company was this incredible moment of, wow, now I can really scale and really go out and find as many wholesale partners as I really want, and I have the capacity to continue scaling, growing, because I have someone to help with the actual production.
Good. So your many years at WESC, I mean, you probably met a lot of people, and once you started into business, and just, I don't know if anybody feels alone if you're in your own business. Get a nod if anyone, you're alone in your own business. I see some, yeah, it's lonely, but did you ever have anyone that reached out to you, encouraged you, inspired you to be, and not to be better, but to be more, to go, you know what, you can be more?
Absolutely, and some of those women are sitting in the room tonight. Jeannie Martinson, Pam Klein, some of my very first customers. There were so many women, and honestly, I feel so lucky that I started this company in Regina, because the business community was so supportive. And being a part of WESC, being a part of Business and Professional Women's Network, there was different organizations, and there still are amazing organizations that you can belong to. And I think more than ever, we realize the power in women supporting women. And that's the reason why Hillberg Berk is here today. So many women who were incredibly supportive and encouraging, and maybe believed in me before I even believed in myself.
Yeah, that's a great point. What do you feel are the 3 most important things you do or did that contribute to your success?
So I think it's important first to talk about the definition of success. And to me, I define success by how much free time I have. But if you're talking about success in terms of scalability, growth, revenues, profitability, I think looking at those metrics, the first thing you have to recognize is that you're your own biggest bottleneck to growth in your business. So get out of your own way. And then the second thing is, well, you have to find great people. And so finding amazing people, but then there's so much more than just finding amazing people. You have to rally people around a compelling purpose. And so I think those have been the 3 maybe most critical things to getting the company to where it is today in terms of growth and revenue.
Good. Now, obviously, at one point, you left your comfort zone, and maybe you do that every day. But how do you know when you've left your comfort zone? Does your heart race? Your sweat? I don't know. And is it an everyday thing for you?
Yeah. So if you want to be in business, you have to get really comfortable with being uncomfortable all the time, every single day. And if you're not willing to get uncomfortable every single day, then being an entrepreneur probably isn't for you. And that's okay. That's okay, it's not for everybody. It takes a lot of resiliency. It takes feeling like you want to puke almost on a daily basis. But the cool thing about it is it allows you to grow continually. The things that caused me stress 10 years ago are easy things to deal with now. The things that caused me stress a year ago are easier to deal with today. And so I look at entrepreneurship as this incredible gift. Women globally do not have the opportunity that we have in Canada. The world has come a long way, but we still are so lucky to be born where we are, that we can pretty much decide that we want to do something today and we can go and do it tomorrow. So I feel so lucky that I was born, that I basically won the life lottery to be born in Canada, that every day I can get up and I can decide I'm going to set a goal and just do it. And that's an opportunity that we all have. And so being uncomfortable is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for growth. And so yes, it's scary and it makes you feel like you want to puke sometimes, but also it pushes you, and then your comfort zone grows. And so in a year, if you keep doing that, if you keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you'll look back in a year and realize that your zone of comfort has grown significantly, and you as a person have grown, and then you're able to do more, which is cool because your risk tolerance gets bigger too.
Is there one thing you do when you feel uncomfortable? Is there anything that I put my pen down, I relax, I call someone? Is there a one thing?
Yeah, so for sure, there's things that I don't like dealing with that make me very uncomfortable. And there's sort of like eat the frog first thing in the morning, and that's definitely something I do. If I have a really big, uncomfortable thing that I have to do, I try and get it off my plate first thing so I'm not thinking about it all day. But also, like psychologically, I also think about what is gonna happen if I don't deal with this? What are the repercussions of not doing the difficult thing? And then that helps me, framing it that way, helps me deal with things that are tough or risks that I have to take that maybe scare me.
So, thank you. I think women find it hard to ask for things. Whether it's a business opportunity or a salary raise, we simply expect others to recognize how awesome we are as women. Have you ever found it hard to ask for something, negotiate something you wanted, and how did you do?
I think that, yes, I have found it hard in certain situations, but I think that also because of, for whatever reason, the person that I am, my upbringing, I have also been able to find the courage to really ask for things that I want throughout my life, and that's helped me to get to where I am. But there have been situations for sure where I've been intimidated, or I just felt like I lacked the skills to ask for something that I wanted. And again, you sort of have to go through, what are you going to lose out on if you don't ask for it, or what's the worst case scenario if you ask for it and it doesn't work out. So, and again, that's a muscle that I think that you build, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, and sometimes you surprise yourself.
So what do you do when you feel intimidated? When I get intimidated, I probably stand up taller and I probably get quiet, but I'm like, I can't talk, but I don't back down.
Yeah, I like to think about mentors that I've had and how they might deal with situations. And I hope this doesn't embarrass you, but Pam, you're somebody that I think of that just deals with situations really well. So Pam is someone I think of. I also had a mentor early on in my business. So the store that we have in Regina, our flagship location, when I first moved into that building, we were just on the second floor. And the woman who owned that building was also a businesswoman, and she had a business on the main floor and in the basement. And anytime I had a question about business, I just went down to see Karen, and I would ask her, and she would just ask me all these questions, and in the end she wouldn't tell me the answer, but she would sort of lead me along to getting to the answer, and then she'd sort of sit there and say, well, it sounds like you've got this figured out, Rachel, so go ahead and figure it out. So it made me realize that you usually sort of have the answer inside of you. You're just sometimes intimidated to tell yourself what the answer is. And also the situation can be intimidating that you're going into, but if you sort of think about somebody that you admire and how they deal with situations and try and deal with the situation through their eyes, it can be helpful.
Yeah. So you've told us a lot, but can you tell us one thing that nobody knows about you?
Yeah, I really struggled with that because I do a lot of professional speaking, and I feel like I've shared a lot of very personal stories through my professional speaking. So I'll maybe share a story that if you've heard me speak, you might have heard it, but if you haven't heard me speak, maybe you haven't heard it. It's a bit of the Dragon's Den story and what happened after the den. So I went on Dragon's Den, which was a decade ago. It's hard to believe. And I got the deal, but I actually didn't get the deal right off the bat. I went into the studio and did the pitch, was in the studio for about an hour, and I was feeling really good about how the pitch was going. And but then all of a sudden, all the dragons started saying one by one they were out, and all 5 of them said that they were out. And it turns out that I had asked for too much money, I had overvalued the company. And as I was sort of shaking their hands and thanking them for the opportunity, Brett Wilson had said, you just asked for too much money, but I'd like to do the deal, so let's meet outside of Dragon's Den and we can still do the deal. But I was so nervous in the moment that I didn't realize that he had said that to me. And then I went back to my hotel and I'm sure promptly like cracked open the minibar and started, having a drink or something.
So you're normal.
And the phone rang and it was CBC. It was actually the producer Molly that I had been working with for months to get onto the show. And she said, after you left, Brett and Arlene were talking about your pitch and we've never done this, but we want to bring you back to retape your whole pitch because they would like to do the deal and we want to make sure we capture that. Otherwise, your episode won't make it to the final season of Dragon's Den and you'll miss out on the opportunity for exposure. So for the first time, the last time they ever did it, they allowed me to come back and repitch and ask for less money. So the first time I asked for $300,000 and valued my company at, over $1 million. And the second time I came back asking for $200,000 and valued the company, I think, at about $600,000. And then in the end, got the deal from Brett. So it was kind of this crazy story that I never anticipated would happen. And so after Dragon's Den, I sort of thought I would never see the end of that money. It was the most money that I had ever seen in my life, and I thought I could just take it and sort of keep doubling it. That was September of 2008, and the whole strategy was scale wholesale, as we hadn't opened a store yet. And so we took a large chunk of the money and we went to the biggest, greatest trade show in New York and set up a booth, and I brought a whole team of people down with me. And the trade show was January of 2009, and that was right after the recession hit, and the Christmas of 2008 was like the worst Christmas retailers had had in decades. And so nobody came to the trade show and we didn't really write any orders, and we had spent all of this money, and I came back to Regina after the trade show and realized that the venture capital was all gone. And we were in this recession and that people weren't buying luxury goods, and I was going to have to tell Brett Wilson that the money was all gone. And also I knew that we had this clause through the Dragon's Den agreement that said, if he didn't feel like I was doing a good job as a CEO, he could fire me. So there was all of these things playing out, and I really didn't know, how I was going to re-strategize and come back from spending all of the money during, an economic downturn. And so that was like a kind of a pivotal, intimidating moment that some of you might know, but lots of people don't know.
That's intimidation. Yeah, that's a good one. So since then, you have made a difference to women around the world, from not only women around the world, but your staff. You inspire them every day. One of a Kind Friday, you inspire them to make their own stuff. So my question is, everyone's here, everybody wants to make a difference. And I think sometimes we think, why make a difference when it can't be big enough? So what can you say to people that I want to make a difference, but it's not as big as yours?
Well, I mean, we do cool things, but we're not also kind of the global brand either. I think you have to really care deeply about something to kind of get you through the getting up every day and facing the tough stuff. So I think that as cliche as it might sound, you do have to find that compelling reason of why you are pursuing this passion that you're in. And if you don't deeply connect your own personal purpose to the purpose of your business, it will be hard to get through the tough times. So I think that is a really important factor to really find. And I think that every single business starts somewhere. So it's important to find that meaning, that thing that you can do that gets you through the difficult parts of business. And it doesn't matter how small it is, even if you're just making a difference in your community, right around where you're located, in the community in your city. If everyone thought like that, then business could change the world. And I feel really excited about how many women are starting businesses, how differently women think about business, how we think about attacking social issues through our business. So big or small, if we all do it, we're all going to tackle critical things that we need to change in the world. So never think that what you're doing is too small. Just find something that you're really passionate about. Don't do something that you feel like people think that you should do, or you feel like your customers think you should do. Do something that you are really passionate about doing.
So speaking of passion, you've always had a passion for jewelry or making a difference, and one sparkle at a time. But did you ever struggle at any point? Now, you talked about the New York and coming back and spending all the money. But have you ever come back and second guessed yourself early on and went, I don't know if this is the right path? I mean, you can look back now, yeah. But when you were living in it, do you ever remember a time like that?
No. I feel so, again, I have this perspective on life that I feel so lucky that I was born in Canada, that I can pursue a dream. We just have so many blessings here. I've never second-guessed jewelry because I feel like it's the funnest industry. I love it so much. But there have been points where I've had to like make choices along the way, whether it is choices about product, choices about growth and strategy that have been really hard to make. And those pivotal moments have made being in business very challenging. And so although I've never second-guessed jewelry, I love jewelry, the industry, our business, our people so much, there have been many times where, you know, there's been changes in the road, forks in the road, you think you're going one way, you have to pivot, and those are challenging moments. I think those are moments that I second-guess myself, you know, and maybe decisions you have to make, but at the end of the day, when you're in business, that's just the path that you have to take.
So in all your travels and, you know, making the right decisions or going along, and you've been everywhere, picking out the finest jewelry for all of us, have you ever met up with someone who just didn't treat you right, just inequality to the nth, and what did you do? Like, have you felt that, or have you just traveled and it's been great?
Yeah, so no, this was sort of my first huge life lesson in how lucky we are in Canada and how different it is globally. When I decided that I wanted to start my own jewelry company, I didn't have the first clue about the jewelry industry, but I talked to somebody and they said, you have to go to Bali. Bali is the place for jewelry, and I literally just got on a plane and went to Bali. And then I started traveling the globe, just going to different places, all of the jewelry epicenters globally. And what I learned was this industry is dominated by men globally, dominated. And it was so hard for anyone to open any orders with any major companies because nobody took a 25-year-old girl seriously. In fact, I had so many challenges as I traveled going to these trade shows that I decided to rebrand the company. When I first started, I called the company Urban Pearl Accessories, and it sort of sounded like a company that a 25-year-old girl had started. And because of all of the challenges that I was having as I was traveling, trying to open relationships with manufacturing partners and gemstone distributors, I was like, I have to rebrand and think of a name that sounds more serious and like it's been around for 100 years. And that was one of the catalysts. And another super frustrating thing is, as I started going to trade shows with my husband, the first person they would talk to was always him. And it was so frustrating. He would be like, don't talk to me, like she's the boss, you know, like you're gonna definitely lose a sale if you engage with me first. But it was a shock. And again, it sort of fueled my passion to why we need to be doing the things that we're doing, telling the stories that we're telling in our advertising in Canada, showcasing powerful women and their stories, elevating women in different and unique ways, because there's so much work to do still.
So how did you get from Urban Pearl to Hillberg Berk?
It was a couple of bottles of wine and a couple of girlfriends, and we all just sat down one night and started spitballing words and people and names that were important to me. And in the end, Hillberg was my great-grandma Hilda Bergman, and Berk was my dog Berkeley, and it just seemed to work.
That's great. So in all of this, I mean, you mentioned you've surrounded yourself with great women, you've mentioned some. Do you have a coach today?
I do. I've had a coach for the last 2.5 years almost, and I think it's been really important to have a coach. I think before even I paid for a coach, I had people. I belonged to a group in Regina called Tech. I now belong to an organization called YPO, and there's a small group of 9 people that I get together with monthly. And I think that that's such a critical part, is finding those groups of people that you can trust and be vulnerable with and be 100% open and honest with, is critical to growth and success and just mental health.
Right. So we're going to chat about vulnerability. If anyone read Brené Brown, she has turned that into a buzzword. And she states we have to work through vulnerability to get courage. So my question was there ever a time you felt you didn't have the answers? And it's like you're put on the spot. And I mean, I know that I think a lot of us know we have all the answers back here. They are there. We just have to bring them forth. We know what to do. Have you ever been in that where you're in a position where I have to say something and I have to sell it? but I'm not really sure.
So every day I don't have the answers, and rely on an amazing team of people around me. And I think again it gets back to like realizing that you're your own biggest bottleneck, that you have to get out of your own way and find great people and allow them to help you. And so yeah, it's not always easy to be like, I don't know what to do in this situation, but it's powerful to do that. I'm not perfect at that for sure. I need to work on that, on a daily basis. But I think that it's powerful when you realize that you are your own biggest bottleneck and you need to really rely on other people to scale. You don't have to rely on other people if you want to do everything yourself. But again, back to having the opportunity to work at WESC and having been exposed to the E-Myth early on in my career and realizing that I could do everything myself, but then I'll just always stay the facilitator of my own company. And I think the power for women entrepreneurs lies in when you can scale, because that's when you can create true wealth for yourself, wealth in your community, other jobs, and a long-term secure future for yourself. So there is nothing wrong with having just yourself in your business, but there is power in scaling. And so it's just recognizing that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay.
If you could give us one life lesson to all the women entrepreneurs, what would it be?
I think that it is really just finding amazing people and finding a purpose that you are compelled to get up every single day to work on, because even something that you're super passionate about doing eventually does get tedious and it gets hard after months and years of doing the same thing, and you might get tired of the thing that you were originally so passionate about doing. But if you can find something that you are deeply connected to, that will keep you going. So it is really important to find, I think, a deeper calling than just the beautiful, sparkly part of it.
So we know, through the stories, you're a busy woman. How do you recharge?
Yeah, so important, and I'm not always great at doing it, but I have great people in my life that remind me to do it. So one thing that I just discovered recently, a friend of mine did something called My Life Planner, and I am somebody who really likes to write down goals and journal a little bit when I have time, so I've really enjoyed diving into that. I'm a big goal setter and planner. So that's one thing. I really like to read, but I have 2 young children and I find I have very little time to read, but I can listen to podcasts in my car, so that's somewhat of a substitute. I really like going to the spa. So thank you to Just For You Day Spa. That's kind of my biggest recharge that I have right now.
Good. And we're going to do one last question, and then we will come to you guys. But do you have a hidden talent?
Do I have a hidden talent? Apparently not.
You don't sing, dance, violin?
It's funny you ask. Actually, our family does kind of sing and play instruments. So I wouldn't say I'm talented at it, though. It's just something that we enjoy doing. And I would say one thing, my biggest passion in life is actually business. So when I'm not running my own business, I'm passionate about learning about other businesses and reading about business and just diving into what's happening in the world of business.
What's your biggest pet peeve then? Do you have one?
Internet trolls.
Internet trolls. Wow, there we go. Well, we're going to give Rachel a big hand and thank her for coming here today. It's so amazing.